the station that's on your side. This is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
People from an apartment complex are frustrated when more than 100 cars' windows are smashed in on one night. We'll hear from Atlanta residents here in a bit. But first, a local bike group uses prayer and a bag of food to help those in need on Washington Road every weekend. We've taken you there several times as leaders work to address the amount of homeless people in the area. Our Sydney Hood joins us from the newsroom tonight with more on the group. Sydney, how do they use kindness to give back?
Craig, they are meeting these folks where they are and giving them the little things in life we often take for granted. Underneath the sound of a motorcycle engine,
I pray that there be an anointing on these streets, Lord.
Is a prayer.
Lord, that your spirit reign freely among these streets.
Yes, Lord. We have to go places that most people are uncomfortable going to reach the lost.
Which brings this group of leather vests and bikes out here.
It could be any one of us. Any one of us could be put in their situation, whether we think we could or not.
2 weeks ago, I was out here with these folks, so I know them by name. Of course, I was out here by choice.
She stayed across the street from where she now serves, back with her mother and daughter.
When we were staying out here, we didn't have a car, so we would walk to go get food, and we would see all the other people out here that were less fortunate than us, and it made us want to come out here when we could and help them.
If it needs to be moved, we'll move it somewhere else. The way I see it is, if they run them off from here, they're going somewhere else. They're still going to be hungry, they're still going to be thirsty, they're still going to be out here on the streets regardless.
A situation many here know too well.
I myself didn't realize just how many people needed this, how many people needed somebody to care, somebody to want to feed them and pray with them.
Sometimes that's all the help one needs.
Sometimes we have to put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation in order to make sure that somebody else is comfortable just for a minute.
And a minute is all it takes to change a life.
Amen.
I once was a hopeless dopehead, now I'm a dopeless hopehead. And it feels great. Now I'm happy, it feels so good to be alive.
The group meets at the same location every Sunday. That's beside the Raceway gas station on Washington Road and I-20. They have food, tents, and a helping hand to hold. Thank you for continuing to follow efforts for the homeless on Washington Road. Sydney Hood. Now over to downtown Augusta, a nice kind of night, but this came after a lot of rain. We're going to toss things over to First Alert meteorologist Emily Acton. Emily, any hopes at least for a drier week ahead?
Okay, I like it. You're switching it up. Not talking about the heat anymore, Craig.
It'll never end.
Things are going to be drier overnight tonight. Thankfully, you saw plenty of rainfall across the CSRA today, really for our southern counties especially, but overnight things are going to be calm and cooling down a little bit. We're still in those lower to middle 70s right now, but we'll drop off a few degrees over the next several hours. But like I said, things are going to remain dry. That cloud cover is moving out, so that's really going to help us drop off a little bit into those lower 70s overnight tonight. So things are looking pretty good. Now, kind of want to trace back to what we saw this afternoon. Those places that you're seeing those darker blues and green colors, that's anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. And then some places where that lighter green is, saw 3 inches of rainfall today. So lots of heavy rainfall, setting us up though for the week, because we're going to be dry throughout the greater part of our work week, Craig, but rain will return once we get to the end of our work weekend, possibly even into next weekend.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Emily. Well, the Edgefield County coroner says a Trenton man is dead after an accident tonight. They say Jamarquius Tompkins died at the AU Medical Center around 7:18 p.m. Before then, they say Tompkins was involved in a 2-vehicle accident on SC 191 and Old Plank Road in between Johnston and Trenton. We're still working to get in contact with authorities about what caused the crash. 2 women are dead from a shooting over the weekend. Officers from Allendale say it happened last night at a Tiger Express, and the coroner identified the victims as 25-year-old Paris Lee and 34-year-old Herinda Murdaugh. We do know there's a suspect in custody, but no word yet on what led up to the shooting or who authorities arrested. Plus, authorities cancel an Amber Alert for a missing 1-year-old from Georgia. GBI agents issued an Amber Alert for Ta Yanni from Warner Robins earlier in the day. Authorities believe 22-year-old Calvin Johnson kidnapped her. Atlanta officers are looking into who is responsible for breaking into over 100 cars this weekend. Officers say it happened in a parking garage Saturday morning. People from the apartment complex found some of their windows broken or completely shattered on the pavement. One of the cars affected was a police vehicle, and officers say 2 guns were stolen, but not from their patrol car. People who live here say they're angry, especially because this is the latest security issue they've seen, and this is the final straw.
Our video cameras, if we have any, don't seem to work. We've had the gate to our garage has been broken for months and months, and we've been filing complaints with management here to try to get it fixed, and they keep saying, oh, the part's coming in, it'll be fixed, and then it hasn't gotten fixed.
So far, officers haven't shared how many cars got broken into past that or leads into how many suspects they're looking for. Also near the ATL, a SWAT situation outside of Atlanta today ends with a suspect arrested. Officers say they investigated a fight that involved a gun and shots fired during the day. It turned into a calling of the SWAT team to investigate and a home blocked off by crime tape. They say an adult and 2 children left the home without incident and eventually got the suspect. No word yet from them on what led up to the gun going off. Leaders from Charleston are starting a new project to honor the victims and survivors of the Mother Emanuel AME church shooting. Crews broke ground today for the Emanuel 9 Memorial as part of the church's birthday celebration. The new memorial is the peak of years of tireless work by clergy, private citizens, and the city of Charleston. This is just the first phase of construction, with the next stage expected to be done sometime next year. Still to come, finding white coral while scuba diving is not a good sign. We'll hear from Florida researchers on why. South Florida's coral reefs are in grave danger, and the enemy is the water and sun. As Ari Odzer shows us, these bleached corals, she finds they are losing their symbiotic algae, which give them their colors.
A healthy coral reef looks like this, but corals are sensitive, and with water temperatures soaring in South Florida, researchers are worried this will happen. See those white areas? That's called coral bleaching.
So right now we're on track for corals to bleach this summer, and bleach for a longer period than they've ever bleached before, which will likely lead to high levels of coral mortality.
How worried are you about the fate of the coral reefs of Florida right now?
Very worried. Well, it's really concerning because these high temperatures are just one more stressor on top of all of the other stressors that our reefs here face in Florida.
Coral researcher Dr. Abigail Renegar showed us the specimens they're raising at Nova Southeastern University, which go from these tanks to the reefs of Broward County. But right now, they've halted the coral planting effort because the water is just too hot. Divers are recording temperatures in the high 80s, as deep as 70 feet. And combined with stony coral tissue disease, which you can see here, and pollution, Florida reefs keep taking punches, wave after wave. Bill Preck has been studying corals for 45 years.
It's a very grim forecast, and someone asked me just the other day, well, what can we do about it now? And right now, today, there's nothing we can do about it.
This team is studying pollutants that are dangerous to corals, and through genetic engineering, researchers are developing corals which can tolerate higher water temperatures.
They are, but the question is, how many, and how can they scale that up? And that's the question for the future. But the question for the summer of 2023 is, how bad is it going to get?
So how bad will the hit be to ecotourism and the fishing industry, which depend on healthy reefs?
It's a 1-2-3 punch that is devastating, both ecologically and economically.
Alrighty, and taking it back local, one more school drive came today just before classes begin for Aiken County next week. SRP Park encouraged their guests to donate towards this year's Stuff the Bus drive. Gates opened right around 12:30 before the first pitch of today's game. Organizers with the Green Jackets say they teamed up with SRP Federal Credit Union and WOW Internet to get the ball rolling. They say all school supplies donated will go towards the United Way of the CSRA. One guy who brought in some supplies says he felt motivated to come out because you're helping people, which includes family and educators.
My son's a teacher down in Bluffton High School, and also at Hilton Head Christian. And every year they end up having to pay out $7,000 or $8,000, if not more, of their funds to get supplies because of the budgets and things of that nature.
He says if you can't make it out today, he highly encourages you to contact the schools or other families just to ask what they need. And speaking of Aiken County, school is starting on Tuesday, and leaders from a new middle school are anticipating to open on time. Highland Springs officials say they're having an inspection tomorrow to make sure the building is ready. If it's not, they told parents last week they're going to start online. Officials say parents need to bring their kids to North Augusta High School tomorrow between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. They're handing out laptops by grade in the cafeteria, and your kids will get to their login information and activate the device by logging in. Leaders say they will let parents know by tomorrow night if they will report to class at the campus or start online. And a local family is given a big surprise today for a teen who would have graduated high school this year. The Compass for Hope shared this new shower trailer in honor of Brantley Griffin. Back in 2019, the 14-year-old died from a head injury when fireworks started to explode on a bridge at the lake near Sankin Road. Senator dedicated this in his honor, and if he were still here, his family just sending out that love for the organization. Plus, we're learning Compass for Hope passed more than 300 showers given to those who are homeless earlier this month. A huge shout out to Mike Garrison for putting this all together for the boy missed and loved by many. And Twitter's blue bird logo may be changing. Elon Musk says he's ready to bid the bird adieu. He tweeted earlier in the morning, if any users post a good enough logo by the end of the night, he could make it go into effect tomorrow. Elon believes it should have been changed a long time ago. Since he bought the social media site last October, the company made several changes, like massive layoffs and tweet viewing limits. If you go to x.com, it now takes you to the Twitter sign-in page.
Well, heading into our work week, conditions are calm, and we're going to stay that way for at least the next several days, but rain will return. It is July, so we can expect that typical summer pattern, but I'll have your full 7-day coming up after the break.
After an
Get your late night flavor fix.
Big wreck? Tiny check? For this newscast brought to you by Hearing Associates of South Carolina.
Alrighty, we're back with First Alert meteorologist Emily Acton. We're going through some pretty normal hot temps this weekend in July, but I'm curious, did the rain bring it down a bit before we start out our next week?
It did, Craig. I'll give you that. High temperatures this afternoon reached the lower 90s, but once that big mass of rain moved through, things cooled down for our afternoon, and things are relatively cool now as we head into the overnight hours, but conditions are dry, so that's some good news, and we're really going to stay dry for the next several days, but along with that, temperatures will start to rise and become a little bit closer to average than what we've seen for the past couple of days. We've been a little bit spoiled over this weekend, but here's a look at our current radar. All of that rainfall that we saw earlier has officially moved out of our area, so things should be calm overnight tonight, but look at all of the rainfall that we saw today. This is, again, just radar estimated totals, anywhere from 5 to 6, I had to make sure I got that right, 5 to 6 inches along the coast. But then as we go a little bit more inland to us here in the CSRA, saw anywhere from 1 inch in some places all the way up to 4 inches, where you see that lighter green color, really just south and east of Augusta. Saw some heavy rainfall throughout the afternoon. It was pretty steady, too. If you can remember back, that shower really didn't move for a good 30 minutes or so. So plenty of rainfall for our afternoon, but some places didn't even get any. So we're all going to be staying dry, though, overnight tonight. Temperatures will cool off a few more degrees. Right now, we're in those lower to middle 70s, but things will stay dry, and I know that this map behind me is showing some rain, but that has already moved out of our area. So again, dry overnight, cooling off into those lower 70s. We'll warm back up tomorrow, though. We'll see those lower 90s across our area. An isolated shower or two possible for our evening and possibly even into the overnight, but overall a small chance of rain for our Monday. But things are looking dry after that. Tuesday, things are going to be very warm, very hot again starting Tuesday, and it's going to last throughout the middle and end of our work week. Now, I want to take a look at the tropics. We do have a tropical wave that has formed. It's not a named storm, has the potential to form into a tropical storm, tropical depression. one of those over the next couple of days. A smaller chance, though. But we had the first hurricane of the season, and that was Hurricane Dawn. Now it has lost its intensity and has dropped down to a tropical storm, and it's a fisherman's storm. It's out in the middle of the Atlantic, so not really having any concerns there. And I think I just wanted to look at the radar one more time, but no, here is your 7-day. We're going to be warming up, like I said, Craig. Drier conditions really starting Tuesday. Could see some rain back in the picture Friday, but really looking more Sunday for our next best chance of some decent rainfall.
Already, I know I said it last week, but it's another throwback, the 90s all throughout the week. Thanks for that, Emily. Well, now you know.
With 7 home runs away from surpassing 500, he played for 6 clubs over 19 seasons.
Well, while some places saw 3 to 4 inches of rain, where it mattered, they didn't see it. Today in Augusta saw 1/10 of an inch, and in Aiken didn't measure any rainfall. So definitely dry in some spots. Definitely shows you those summer showers. But I'm going to toss things over to Studio B with Neil and Vic.
Thanks so much, Emily. Tonight, Vic, something a little different. We're going to talk about how some folks are getting poisoned by pollution.
Absolutely. Pollution in our own community. Our water's contaminated. It's been verified scientifically now, and we're going to tell you all about it.
Phone number to call is 844-706-1212. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
And Wow TV Plus.
Wow.
Well, the next 7 days, not looking too bad. Pretty seasonable. Starting off a little bit cooler in the lower 90s, then we'll warm up to the middle 90s by as early as Tuesday, and things are looking dry for the greater part of our work week. Could see an isolated shower or two. Again, an understood 10% chance of rain. It's just summer. That's very typical for this time of year. But once we get into next weekend, temperatures will be in those upper 90s, Craig.
90s are all that. Thanks for that, Emily, and thank you for joining us here on News 12 at 11. I'm Craig Allison, but be sure to stick around for our guys at Law Call coming up after this.